Let's go inside Beaver Dam High School athletics and activities right now. It is spring break, but he is still working like a dog. That's Beaver Dam High School athletics and activities director Ryan Gerber. Ryan, right? Spring break never really is a thing for you, simply because the way that the sports roll in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah. The kids might be on break. That's great. Hopefully everyone's able to relax and take some time with family. But athletics keeps on rolling, and the questions don't stop. So we're cranking them out, and we're still working hard.
No, it is. Now, you were able to get on the golf course so at least once this week, weren't you?
Yeah, I did enough damage to that course. I'm not sure I'll be back or asked back.
Did you get uninvited to a local community golf course?
That's why it's not local. I have to go far away because then people don't know me. They just throw me out. Yeah.
Otherwise, are people hitting up on you then if you're local?
No. It's just when the turf goes further than the ball. They tend to not like that very much.
Especially with TikTok and such. They get that on video. Next thing you know, Ryan Gerber is going viral, right?
Well, I mean, everyone wants to go viral. I guess I can go in my own ways.
Well, we appreciate all you do, and I know there's a lot going on. We'll talk about the spring sports in a little bit because everything is slowly but surely starting up here in the month of March. Ma Nature's not cooperating as we expected. Some kind of weird weather the next few days. But let's talk about rehash the winter a little bit because the All Badger Conference teams have been released, Ryan. And again, great winter sports season for student athletes both on and off the court. But the All Conference recognitions are out. Where do you want to start on the winter sports?
Well, I think we should start with the two sports that ended up bringing Badger Conference championships home this year. So I guess we'll start with wrestling first. Obviously, on the boys' side, the team side, they brought home a conference championship the first time in 20 years that's happened. The first time in the Badger Conference, and obviously, when you're able to bring a championship home, you're going to have guys that are contributing and at the top of their game. So, the wrestling team had three guys that finished first team all conference, and I should mention in wrestling, the all conference selections aren't based on coaches' votes, but rather how you finish at the conference tournament. So they, everyone earns their conference, all conference recognitions, but these guys actually have to place on a podium a certain way in order to get it. So Avery Femright, Easton Warden, and Landon Grow, all three of those guys ended up on the first team all conference for the Badger Large. And then Mason Grow finished second team all conference on the guy side. And then our first girls to finish in the all-conference list, that'd be Chloe Newberger and Kylan Reynolds. Both finished second team all-conference. Charlie Winicky was injured and wasn't able to compete, so that's why her name is on there, not on there. Obviously, she had a heck of a year qualifying for state, but she was injured. But hats off to the six individuals who were able to receive all conference nominations on the wrestling team.
Yeah, great season. It's fun watching both the boys and the girls and see how they've been doing this year. So congratulations to Coach Winker. And I'm sure they're probably already, even though they're involved in other things, Coach Winker's probably already chomping at the bit to get after it next year already, right?
Absolutely, and this is the most important time of a wrestling coach's season right now is making plans for next year, really diving in and looking at what did you do well, what didn't you do so well, who you got coming back. I know Coach Winker doesn't spend a whole lot of time forecasting where people are going to slot in for weights because so much of that depends on what happens between now and in October. But certainly, looking at where can we get better, what are things that we need to really look at and adjust for next year. And every coach does that, but in wrestling, you can, because of its nature, because it's a one-on-one, it's a combat type scenario, you can really zero in on technical pieces and coaching pieces that will make a huge adjustments for next year. And a lot of these wrestlers that are coming back, the question for them is, what are you doing today that's going to make you better tomorrow? A lot of those kids jumped right back into their academy seasons.
Excellent stuff there. So, again, congratulations to the wrestling team. Girls hockey as well, unbeaten Badger Conference Championship, Ryan, and they were well represented as well on the all-conference docket.
Yeah, obviously a conference championship, the first of its kind for the girls program, and certainly a huge jump from where they'd been just a couple of years ago. We've certainly discussed that and documented that run. And really, I think Coach Bogarelic has this team primed to be strong over the next several years. So it's a team that we're looking forward to getting back to. But should really start with Brenna Rhodes. Brenna Rhodes was a first-team all-conference forward. I should also mention she was the co-player of the year in the Badger Conference, so hats off to her. Anytime you can win Player of the Year award, that's a special thing. Typically, in most sports, you see that as a senior. So for her to win that as an underclassman speaks volumes to not only her skill set, but the value she had for her team. So incredible job for Brenna, and hopefully she's able to put in the work this offseason. I know she's already playing with her juniors team, getting better, and I know she's signed up for soccer, so she'll be busy here at the high school. And just looking forward to watching her grow as an athlete and continue to amaze. And then Addie Damon, the senior Addie Damon, was second team all conference forward. And Lillian Mansueto, she was an honorable mention forward. Lil comes from Mayville in our co-op, and we're very proud of her and her accomplishments here. For defenseman, Addie Hoekstra, she was a first-team all-conference selection this year. And Audrey Lant, she was honorable mention defenseman this year. And then Emily Smeedema, who's been tremendous for us the last number of years, she was an honorable mention goalie. You think of her career and how good she has been over the last number of years. You think how good she was this year. It was one of those situations that the Badger Conference just had such strong goaltending that she was an honorable mention. But I don't think that in any way is a negative for her. She's a heck of a goalie. I think she's recognized across the state as a heck of a goalie. It just showed you again how deep the Badger Conference was in goaltending.
Yeah, no, it was. The young ladies that were first team, Bramstead from Viroqua and Annika Mueller from the Icebergs. The Badger Conference was known, the Wisconsin Hockey guys, that was the conference of the goalie this year, because top to bottom, Martinelli, as well from, the Cap City, we saw her. I mean, every team had a solid goalie in the Badger Conference this year, and the Red Wall was right there with the best.
Right, and those two programs, Viroqua and Stoughton, they were in a similar spot that we were a couple years back when the goalie was just being assaulted with shots every single night. And so, they were putting in a lot of work. And when you look at the stats, and I was fortunate to be able to see that as part of the all-conference voting, Emily had just a tremendous year. Her save percentage was strong. The number of shots and goals were strong. But if you look at the volume that those other goaltenders were fending off, it's pretty incredible, and they're very deserving. So again, as you mentioned, the conference of the goalie, certainly, and hats off to the Cap City goalie. I mean, we got to see her 3 times this year. We saw her up close and personal in that sectional final game. She played lights out against a lot of good teams, including our team that had, we've mentioned a number of times, a lot of very strong scorers. I mean, 3 of our forwards were on all conference mentioned. So she played tremendous as well. So again, Badger Conference is very deep in goaltending this year, but we're very fortunate that we've had the time with Emily that we have.
Yeah, so congratulations to the girls. And again, we talk about the impact they made. They started a Try Hockey for Free on Tuesday, I think. It's been going, but they had just record number of girls, young girls, like 3, 4, 5 years old that showed up to Try Hockey for Free here in this latest session. So they've caught the eye of some people in the community and some kids, and it's going to be fun to watch that program grow over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years.
Winning helps, and certainly having a local media partner that puts their games on consistently, that also helps. But hockey is unique, and it's something that a lot of communities don't have, and a lot of communities the size of Beaver Dam don't have their own rink. We're very fortunate to have that. So it creates a unique opportunity for our athletes. And I guess I would say on the female side, when I look at participation at the high school level, we're looking to try to find more opportunities for our girls to participate. We need to start with the opportunities we have currently in place, but if my daughter grows up to want to play hockey, I can't think of another coach I'd want her to play for than Coach Bogarelic.
Yeah, I'll just say this too. There's sometimes it's kind of an urban legend. A lot of people have said sometimes in hockey in general, oh, hockey is so expensive. Realistically, it is compared to what people are, spend for like baseball and volleyball and some of the other travel type sports. Hockey isn't really that much difference of an investment. Yeah, there's equipment involved in it, but there's a way to help you out with that. It's really not that much more of an investment than any of the other sports that kids are doing right now. So I just don't let that scare you away.
Yeah, to that point, I think, historically it might have been more expensive, but that's also when you didn't see the AAU basketball take off like it has, or volleyball. Heck, even in my time as a wrestling coach, we went from running youth camps in your local community to anybody that's placing is spending thousands upon thousands of dollars at academies and wrestling all spring and summer. So every sport has increased that way. That's just the nature of the beast. That the genie's out of the bottle on those things. So everything's expensive. I have got a buddy who's got kids on a gymnastics program, and he tells me kind of what those bills look like. So again, hockey, it isn't as cost prohibitive as maybe it was in comparison to other things. And again, I think the fact that you have something right in the community certainly helps. You're not driving an hour to go find ice time.
Nope, and they have programs available. They have equipment available for you if you're trying it. You're not having to buy it all right away there. So, girls, congratulations! The girls boys hockey also well represented on the all conference team, Ryan.
Right, yeah, and so these two names shouldn't shock anybody, but for the boys team, Mason Poznansky was a second team all conference forward, and Zach Shave was an honorable mention goalie. I think with those two guys, their voting kind of falls in line with maybe where the boys team finished in the conference. And I think Coach Kraft would agree with that. Mason was a heck of a player for all the years that he was here, but certainly this year he was just a few points shy of tying the all-time single season points record. It just ended up being with him that the boys play in one league with some very, very strong programs. And when those programs, like an Edgewood, like a Wanakee, they win like they do, they're going to have a lot of guys up for first team. So for Mason to get on the second team, I think that's an awesome accomplishment. And I know he's going to continue on to play hockey elsewhere. So we're looking forward to keeping him in our thoughts as he goes forward. And then Zach Shave, again, you got to remember the last 2 years, really, he hasn't played a lot between the pipes. Henry Vick had a stranglehold on that, and they did the best they could to get Zach in. But Zach, if you remember last year, skated out and played a huge role on defense. So this year he made his transition back into goalie, and for him to play at an all-conference level speaks to his skill level. It speaks to his tenacity and continuing to get better. And they really needed him. The one tradition in Beaver Dam in terms of boys hockey really is strong goaltending, and that continued this year, and hopefully they'll be able to continue that next year. Elliot Garton, he was a freshman this year. He was also honorable mention forward for the boys hockey team.
So, all right. So, congratulations, Doug Kraft's squad, and they've done a great job here this year as well. Ryan, basketball, obviously, solid seasons by both the boys and the girls, and they were well represented all conference as well.
Yeah, on the girls' side, we'll just start there. Natea Donaldson was a first-team all-conference selection. She certainly was in the conversation for Player of the Year. In the conference that went to another player, but certainly in the conversation of that. So she had a tremendous year overall. She earned her 1,000th. Wow, that's tough to say. Yep. We'll have to use some AI to clean that up. But she had scored her 1,000th point of her career this year, and she'll put herself in position next year to hit some other milestones. And then on the honorable mention list, Emma Jalka, Shea Marie Ashley, and Lucy Gonzalez. You look at those four names; those are the four names that Mike was reading off or rambling off every game at the end of the week or end of the game, and certainly played a huge role. The great thing is all four of those players will be back next year for next year's team. So, they lose Droznik to graduation. They bring everybody else back. So, look for that team to continue to get better. And as I talked to Coach Jolka after the season, in our postseason interview, that staff also has an opportunity now to catch their breath. They're going to have a true off season. They're going to be able to evaluate this team and the needs and players a little bit more. And I think they're going to be deeper next year. And so this is another team that I think when we get around to October, we're going to be talking positively about where does this team go next year. By the way, I should mention, we talked a little bit about their schedule throughout the year. You look at how the season ended up and the teams at state. It just proved how tough this Golden Beaver schedule was, and for them to get themselves in position to make a run. And I know it ended at home against Menasha, but they played a lot of really good teams. And again, it goes back to the players in the court, and certainly having 4 players on the all-conference list certainly helps.
No, it does, definitely there. And again, congratulations to the girls. On the boys' side, Ryan, again, they had some recognition as well.
Yeah. So EJ Salatel was second team all-conference selection for the boys. And then the boys had 2 honorable mention selections, Parker Stobie and Parker Blank, the Parker brothers. We're going to be saying goodbye to Parker Stobie, who will be graduating this year. But again, a lot of the points and a lot of the talent comes back. You look at a guy like Isaiah Younger, who unfortunately missed the honorable mention list, but he was right there all year long. He's going to be returning. He'll be another year in the system, another year older, another year stronger. Parker Blink's already getting back to work. He's going to be playing baseball this year, and then he'll go into football. And EJ, I'm sure he'll be heading back to his AU team. So again, this is a program that's trending in the right direction. And I know based on the young guys that they got minutes for this year, that's a program that is looking to make a big jump next year. And they're going to be accepting of their expectations. And again, talking about coaching, you start with Coach Ladrin, and he's going to have them ready to go, and he's going to have some really fun things cooked up for next year. And that's another program. So again, I looked at the winter season for next year as a whole. It's going to be another exciting, strong year for Golden Beavers fans.
Oh yeah, well, it was a fun year. And again, next year, the Golden Beaver boys basketball next year and girls are both going to be forced to be reckoned with. So I'll look forward to that as well, Ryan. Obviously, all conference teams comes up that kind of puts the bow on the winter sports season. Spring sports right now, you have some team. Track's been out working hard the last week or so. You're looking at what softball, baseball has some work going on, but we got the winter sports in the rearview mirror. Now we're looking ahead to the spring sports, correct?
Yeah, just as a look ahead, track got started about a week ago. They're the first sport that gets going. They're going to have competition coming up here real quick. This will be Coach Price's inaugural season. We're excited to bring him in. He takes over for Coach Helgamo. Coach Price comes to us from a number of different schools, but he's highly respected in the track and field world here in Wisconsin. He's a former president of their coach association. His numbers, by the way, this year are significantly up. They're right around 85 kids signed up for track, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 more kids than they had last year. So that's really great. And so I'm excited to see what's coming. Typically this week we would have the Golden Gloves indoor meet Friday and Saturday at Beaver Dam High School. We had to push that back a week just due to some cross scheduling. So the Golden Gloves will be next week, Friday and Saturday at the field house. Friday night will be field events in the gym, and the running events will be Saturday. So they got kicked off, great numbers. Coach Price has got largely a new staff, and just real excited to see what he's able to do with that. And then this week, pitchers and catchers reported for baseball, and I'm not being silly there. The WIA allows baseball to start their pitchers and catchers a week earlier for arm conditioning. It just so happens that everybody's a pitcher or catcher for that first week. Mm-hmm. But they got started, and I talked to Coach Wilkie, and it sounded like everything's going really well. And we're excited to have Coach Kiefer back, and he's working with a lot of younger guys. So, that's a team that's projecting to have 4 or 5 guys on their varsity team that can kick it up to about 80 miles an hour or higher, which certainly is a great weapon for Coach Wilkie to throw out there. And then softball got its start. And I talked to Coach Hines, who came to us this year in his first year taking over for Coach Schmidt. It sounded like things are going really well. He had about 29 girls signed up, and he's had between 26 and 28 showing up the first couple practices. With spring break, you never really know what you're going to get. And that's, people can say, well, why are they practicing over spring break? Well, that's because that's when the season starts per the WIA. The WIA sets their schedule, and then we set ours independent. They're going to be getting it going here pretty quick. I know they've had a couple really good practices outside. I know they're going to look to move inside the rest of the week. But their big question is, how do you replace Gabby Fakes and Riley Zarnecki? And I know they're working really hard at that. And again, Golden Beaver softball typically is a pretty strong program. So, I look forward to seeing what Coach Hines can do with that program.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun getting out there. And we'll get our broadcast schedule out for the spring sports season here sooner than later. Soccer, I know kids have been working. I want to mention, too, we lost a great guy that's done a lot for the community. Virgil Stotts kind of got a promotion to run the show over in Dodgeland. He got the nets up early for us. For some of the girls soccer players who are looking to get some workouts in. One of his last acts was to get the nets up a little earlier over there, Ryan. And Virgil, has given so much to athletics, kind of behind the scenes over the years that people may not have recognized in all three fall, spring, and winter sports season, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Virgil's a big loss for our community and a big gain for Dodgeland. You see him everywhere, in whether it's at the football field, and very meticulous in how we cut that field. On the baseball and softball fields, he's been right there helping redevelop those fields and setting up the mound on the baseball field. To hockey, where he's been instrumental in that organization. So, I've really enjoyed working with Virgil, and I'm happy for him to get the opportunity to go to Dodgeland and run his own show. And certainly that's great for him and his family. I have all the confidence in the world that Troy Marshall is going to hire another great person to follow. But, Troy's leaving big shoes to fill, Virgil's leaving big shoes to fill, and we wish him well, and hope. I know we'll see him around the rink next year.
Yeah, well, I just brought that up because I sent him a text and said, "Hey, Virgil, can we get the nets up for soccer?" And I got him up because soccer kicks off on Monday as well. Coach Paredes, his team, has some expectations this year. They had growth last year, and I think she expects her team to take another step this year.
Yeah, they have made growth and steps every year. Now, you look at it, maybe it hasn't progressed as fast as some may have wanted, but you got to trust the process. What Coach Paredes is doing is really building from the ground up and really developing through skill. She scheduled a very tough non-conference schedule, and the Badger Conference typically is fairly strong in girls soccer. So there's progress being made. Real excited. She promoted Riley Kaufman, who played college soccer herself, to varsity assistant position. So Brandy and Riley will be running the varsity team. And they've got some athletes. And certainly you bring Emily Beal back. I think she's been a starter now 2 years coming into this in goal. So you're going to be solid there. So can you get some scoring? I know Shea Marie Ashley was a big time scorer for him last year. So can they duplicate that? Can they get enough offense? And then can they hang in there with some of the tougher teams on the schedule?
Sure. And we have tennis and golf still a couple weeks out till they get going?
Yeah, tennis and golf. Tennis traditionally has been very strong in the doubles the last few years. I think they're going to be stronger in the singles actually this year. So look for a little bit of a shift there. And then golf. Golf right now has huge numbers signed up. Coach Popovich took over last year, brought Coach Nortman and Coach Chase on to help as well. They're looking at pretty big numbers to the point where we're having to schedule a few more extra meets, which is great. They made huge progress there. And I know Coach Popovich has goals of or challenging for a conference title. Badger Conference is really, really tough. But if you look at the results, in years past, Beaver Dam was right at the bottom of the conference or fighting with Watertown for that second to last spot. If you look at where they're finishing, they're a player away from really cracking that top half, top third. that shows tremendous growth. And again, you open this conversation up with my golf game. I probably need to get out there and start practicing with the team a little bit, because he took players last year that were expecting to just be on JV and not even really sniff the varsity, to guys that were competing for good spots. And JT Call was a huge example of that. JT said to me at the beginning of the year, I just probably be on JV all year. I'm not very good, to a guy who was one of the better players in the conference. Max Lukey had a great conference tournament at the end of the year. So he's got talent there, and he's been able to coach him up in a very short time. So again, I'm looking for great things out of our golf program.
Talking with Ryan Gerber, Director of Athletics and Activities, here on Inside BDHS Athletics and Activities on 1430 ESPN Beer. And Ryan, I want to switch gears quickly, not quickly, but take some time to the arts solo ensemble. I think it might be a record. I think over 60 different events and students have qualified for the state solo ensemble, not only with the voice, but the instrument competitions, which Beaver Dam hosted in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 total events between both sides, instrument and vocal, qualified for state. When I talked to Coach Lefebvre, Mr. Lefebvre, on this one, 60 came from vocal. And he said that's a new record for the time he's been in there. Previously, he had 50 as his record. Now he has 60 events going vocal. So, again, it just shows sustained growth. And we've been talking about all year how strong this music program is. This is one of those events that you can actually gauge that compared to other schools. They just did an awesome job. And look, every year that I've been here in Beaver Dam, there's always been a number of events that have gone on to the state. But for them to start setting records is meaningful. If you look at the music program as a whole, just what they've been able to do and accomplish and grow. Again, a lot of places talk about music being important, and then there are places that make it important. And they don't just talk it here, they make it here. And again, the growth and development of these students to score high enough to qualify for state, and in the volume that they did, that's just awesome work by them. And hats off to Mr. Lefebvre, Mr. Hendrickson, and Mr. Galitz.
Awesome stuff there too. And I know it just happened during spring break, so we'll get the names and for the what used to be called forensics, now it's called speech. I know we had some kids qualify for the state forensics meet, which is in mid-April as well. So maybe next week we'll get that list and to kind of talk about those kids as well, Ryan. There's just so much going on. People are looking for information on both anything athletically or on the arts and music side. What do they need to do?
They can give us a call, or they can go on to the website, badgerconference.org, and go to the right-hand side, find Beaver Dam, and that's where the schedule can be found.
All right, Ryan, I appreciate all you do. Hopefully you can enjoy the rest of your spring break.
Thanks a lot, Wade. Appreciate it.
This is Inside Beaver Dam High School Athletics and Activities on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.